discuss the bracha of Vila Malshinim. And as was mentioned yesterday by Rabbi Bressler, the bracha of Vila Malshinim, of course, the 19th bracha added into Shmona Esrei, is added as the Rambam tells us, because during the days of Rabbi Gamliel, codified in the Rambam, as the Gemara describes in Brachos, during the days of Rabbi Gamliel, there were many apikorsim and many heretics that were leading the Jews away from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And as the Rambam says, Matzirim li Yisrael, u'misayimtem osam l'shum ma'acharei Hashem, that were taking the Jews away from Hashem. And since Rabbi Gamliel saw that this was such a tzarchei b'nei Adam, a need of the people, like the other needs that we have in our Shemona Esrei, just like the need for da'as, for knowledge, for forgiveness, for geula, for refuah, amad u'beizdino behiskin bracha achas. They therefore established its own bracha to ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu la'abed apikorsim, to wipe them out. And we've made this bracha as part of our tefillah. And throughout this bracha, we have these different languages of what HaKadosh Baruch Hu should do to our enemies. Hashem should se'aker u'seshaber, and as Rav Schwab notes in his Sefer on Tefillah, it means these four verbs represent different types of punishments. Se'aker is to uproot, no future growth. Our Tefillah should be that whatever movements that have been made to take us away from Judaism are stopped, no more. Seshaber, they should be broken into so many factions that they're ineffective. Semager is to be into small pieces, and tzachnia, to be humble, to be that whatever remaining individuals, these zaydim, these heretics who take us away from God, should be rendered harmless. And this is the tefillah. And of course, as we say the bracha of Vila Malshinim, we should think in our hearts, in our minds, that there are people that want to take us away from God, and therefore Hashem should stop these enemies, both physically and also spiritually. But I think there is a unique aspect of this bracha, and it fits perfectly with the theme that we have developed so often throughout our discussion on Shemona Esrei. There is a tendency as we read this bracha, and as we say it 3 times a day, to think about the terrible enemies that we have, that only want to do us harm and to persecute us and to beat us up and to put us down and to make us run from one country to one pogrom to the next. But like every bracha of Shemona Esrei, it is supposed to enhance my connection with the Ribbono Shel Olam. So on a very simple and surface level, when I say this bracha, I should realize that I have enemies, that God can help me. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu, please save me from my enemies. But I believe if we take this bracha to a much more personal level, it is not only physical enemies that claim they want to wipe Israel off the face of this earth. There are spiritual enemies that we have both externally and internally. In fact, this bracha refers to the heretics that existed within the Jewish people, not outside the Jewish people. And in our own lives, we have to ask ourselves, what is the enemy in my life? What are the things that are taking me away from God? What do I need to do to se'ager, seshaber, semager, and sachnia? It is not only referring to global, international, wide-ranging enemies that we have. It is not only referring to a large group of heretics, but there are things in our society, there are things in our lives that we all approach and try to work on. And this is what Tefillah asks of me. That when I leave Shemona Esrei, I've thought about how can I become closer. That conversation in and of itself is part of my connection with the Ribbono Shel Olam. So as we go through this bracha, we should think, number one, globally, Hashem should help us like we do in every other bracha. But just like when I said the bracha of Slach Lanu, and I said, what in my life do I have to ask forgiveness for? When I said Geula, I said, what do I need help from? When I asked for Da'as, for knowledge, it was how can I become closer with Hashem? This is the same thing we are asking in Vila Malshinim, but in a more different approach. In what areas of my life do I have to work on to sa'aker, seshaber, semager, sachnia, and by doing that, come closer with Ribbono Shel Olam, come closer through my tefillah.